Hello, my name is Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. Our guest this week has a killer idea for golf. Gary?
Well, he's a killer, and so are his clubs. There's some really, I don't know how to describe them, but expertly fit putters. Your slogan is, what was it? Yeah, a putter built around your game, not the other way around.
Yes.
And there aren't many who have custom make putters to correct your stroke or fit your stroke. And Killer Golf has done that. Shamik, tell us how you got the idea to,
Yes.
and how you had the expertise to make these complicated putters.
Sure. To be honest, pure passion and just wanting to help the game and wanting to do something different, right? I wouldn't say that I was frustrated with the existing equipment. I had no qualms with how putters are made or were made as of today. I only wanted to introduce something novel, something very new. And it started with the idea of being able to put Superman on my putter in a one single piece of, metal piece. Okay. Where it's machined, having not just Superman, but any figurine on top of my putter, making the putter a little bit more lively, a little bit more fun for the everyday golfer. And then as the idea evolved, it was one of those things where, you come to your senses and you're like, wait, you can't make a single-bodied or single putter with a figurine on top, CNC machine it, whether it's Superman, Batman, whatever it is, for anything lower than $2,000, $3,000. I mean, there's a cost associated with it. And so then it goes into the unaffordable arena. And so, the idea evolved, and essentially we went to the direction where it became modular. We said, okay, well, if we create a platform on the putter and we give the option to attach different things, you could attach a Superman figurine, but you could also attach different components in different shapes and sizes to effectively change the performance of the putter. And then once we went down that path, with all of the knowledge that I've gathered over the last 20 years with golf, tried to go pro back in 2013, taught a lot of golf, I figured, hey, I can actually come up with components that mimic something that the driver does today, is, where you can change the lie loft, but
yes.
Transfer that to the putter and say, hey, how can I make components that will impact your face balance, your center of gravity, your MOI, your forward roll? How do you make components that can impact that? And then because of our platform, we can actually now change it anytime we want. And we've made it easy for the customer to modify the putter whenever they feel like it. And that kind of got us into the concept that the putter changes with you, because we all know that people who are not professionals, our swings aren't consistent. And even if we are a low handicapper, we'll start the season in March with a very stiff stroke. And by the time August rolls in, we've gotten warmed up. We've gotten, we reach our peak. But clearly the March swing to the August swing are a little different. But today, the putter stays static. It doesn't change because you got fit for it a month ago, a week ago, a year ago. With our new putters, you can actually change the way the putter performs to match your stroke and say, hey, today I feel like I'm pulling my putts. Great, let me adjust my putter to counter for that. Hey, today I'm pushing my putts. Great, let me adjust the putter to counter for that. Same thing that you do with a driver once in a while, saying, hey, I don't want to fade or draw on it. And you adjust it. Now we're basically bringing that technology to the putter.
Boy, the comparisons to the adjustable driver are so obvious.
Yeah.
And when you hear it, it's like, why didn't somebody think of that sooner?
That's actually something that I'm surprised and proud of at the end of the day, because, golf has been around for centuries. And if you actually look at patents around golf equipment, there's millions of patents. And we were still able to carve out 2 patents, 2 non-provisional patents, and 3 design patents, total 5 patents that are, encompass this technology. And it boggled my mind. There are, of course, a lot of patents that kind of dive into adjustability and different components, but none of them come close to how easy we've made it. And that really boggled my mind when we first did the patent search, and we're very, very happy and proud of the fact that we were able to carve out, even after decades and decades of golf innovation, we were still able to get a patent today.
Now I have to ask something very important here. And both of you are going to be single handicap or better golfers. You can't change the putter configuration in the middle of a round.
No, you cannot.
Right.
Unless you're playing with your friends and they don't care, or you just say, okay, I'm changing my putter setup now, and you go into.
Absolutely.
They don't have to know.
They don't have to. I mean, so if you're playing a tournament, of course, you have to set the configuration prior to the round and keep it the way it is. And we've worked with the USGA. We've developed all of our performance components are conforming to the rules of golf. So we're not worried about once the putter is set in a configuration prior to the round, it will stay the way it's been set for the entirety of the round. And that's following the rules of golf. So we do have 5 players on tour, 4 of them that do use the modular systems, the weights. One of them that has a special custom putter made for her, but the other 4 are using it in tournament and are doing well.
Yeah, you've got a couple different models of putters, of platforms that you build the putter off of, and we can talk about the fitting system in a little bit, because I thought the way that you go online and go through the fitting system was pretty cool.
Yes.
Explain, if you can, simply how people adjust the putter. What do they do on the putter? They put a weight in. Explain the process of adjusting it.
Absolutely. So our online fitting system actually lets you know which system is going to be better for you, right? It's a 2x2 matrix. We've got 2 foundations. It's a mallet style and a blade style. Everybody knows the advantages of a mallet and a blade, or the differences. And then we've got 2 systems, performance systems, either the equilibrium system or the center strike system. They cannot mix and match in order for the rules of golf, but as a standalone systems, those components do conform. Now, the equilibrium system is essentially meant for higher handicappers who have a very inconsistent stroke or a slightly more inconsistent stroke. And that's the piece that kind of allows you to modify, place it on the putter. It's a single screw in the back. It tightens, and it uses the same torque 25 head type that you have on your driver. So you don't need a separate screwdriver. You could use the same one. But the beauty of this is that it can actually rotate and lock in again, because it's got some guiding pins on the bottom. It's got a locking pin right here, and you could either put it towards the toe or put it towards the heel. Now the beauty of this, sorry,
just like with drivers.
And so the beauty of this piece is that this portion right here is weighted heavy. It's heavier compared to this one, because this is hollow. It's a very thin sheet metal. This one's heavier. So what it's actually doing is it's actually pulling weight to the back as rare as possible. And now you're actually allowed to rotate that weight either to the heel or the toe in 15-degree increments. So you've got 7 different positions. And based on how much or how severe of an arc or how severe of a push or a pull you have, you can kind of adjust the 7 positions. Our job as Killer Golf is mainly to let you know or educate you in how to use the system, right? And which system is better for you based on either your stroke or your preferences. And once you learn how to use the system, we enable self-fitting, because you no longer need a professional to tell you how you feel. And that's mainly done prior to the round. When you go, you hit 10, 15 putts, and you figure out whether the putter feels right. And you adjust the configuration until it just feels right, until your putts start dropping. So if you're taking 5-foot putts or 10-foot putts, maybe the initial configuration, you're just missing a little smidge here or there, and then you adjust it, and all of a sudden you start dropping putts 3 out of 5, 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, for today, based on my arc, based on my swing, based on my rhythm, based on my tempo, this is the configuration that's working for me. And that's the configuration you lock in, you go play around, and most 9 out of 10 times, you're going to be a better putter and you're going to shave a ton of strokes in your game through the 18 rounds, because that's just the configuration that works for you that day.
I'm guessing it's going to be like the driver adjustments for better players. Once they find their number or their setting, they probably aren't going to tinker with it unless something goes right. So terribly wrong. So if I'm tending to hit my putts to the left, miss putts left, do I move the weight toward the toe or toward the heel?
Towards the heel.
Okay.
It kind of helps you keep the face a little bit open, right?
Okay, I got it.
Because it's at the heel. So if you're pushing, if you're pulling your putts, you want it to the toe. But it's not just about push and pull, right? It's also about your arc. So if you're naturally have a more straight back, straight through, you want the equilibrium a little bit more towards the heel. That kind of enhances that feeling of being more straight back, straight through. Okay. If you have a stronger arc, you want to put it towards the toe because it's acting as a counterweight that's pulling your stroke a little bit away from you in your backswing, and then helping you keep the square, face square through the ball. But again, it all comes down to how you self-fit yourself. So we're basically saying, look, our technology, again, with the driver, people go and they bought a driver because the face was good. It has a lower spin. It has, it's a good brand, et cetera, et cetera. Many reasons why they bought the driver. But once they buy the driver, they actually have the power to change its head and the modularity. And that's something that they have to figure out by themselves after they've played with it a couple of times. And we're like, oh, wait, I still have a slice. Well, let me do a draw setting. Similar thing with our putters. You buy the putter once, you learn how to adjust the components, and then you self-fit yourself, right before your round.
Yeah, it's like the drivers. You can buy these adjustable drivers now and be pretty confident that you're going to be able to adjust it some way that's going to be good for you. Whereas before, in the old days, you bought a driver, and if you didn't like it, you were stuck with it. I almost laughed when you said, well, you just go with your natural stroke, and you think it's like, I don't have a natural stroke left anymore, Shamik. I'm trying everything. What's my natural stroke? I don't know. I'm just trying whatever I can get to work. So,
but that's the whole point. Sorry, Kathy.
Whatever works for you that day, Gary, is what you
right.
go with.
Well,
and it sounds.
I don't know yet.
It sounds crazy, but Dave Stockton Jr., the son of the guy, Dave Stockton, who was a Ryder Cup captain and won 2 PGA championships, he did some instruction for the original golf show, which was on television versus online. And I'll never forget the day he was doing a tip, and we were at Torrey Pines on that little range that they have there. And his tip had to do with, you get up in the morning and you go out to the golf course and you're warming up, and mostly in your life you've been hitting draws, and then all of a sudden that morning you hit a fade and you can't get out of it. He said, so you have to go with what you've got that day. And that just blew my mind when he said that. And I thought, well, that probably happens pretty often to a lot of people. So this is good information to know. So you
Absolutely.
Just play for it and go out there.
Lee Trevino said something similar, right? If on the day you find yourself hitting a slice, just start aiming left. You're not about to try to change your entire swing on the day of the round. You kind of deal with whatever your body's going to give you that day, and you kind of go with it. And today's technology allows the equipment to kind of match you for that day, right? So that's kind of what our concept is now. Gary, on your note about, hey, you don't know what swing you have, or you're trying to find your swing, that's the whole point. You don't need to anymore, because your statement about, hey, I don't know what swing I have, is because you're constantly trying to deal with static putters that don't change, that don't adapt. And so all of a sudden you have a putter now that adapts. So whatever your swing is, your putter would adapt to you. Between the 25 different configurations that you can make our putter, you'll find something that adapts to your swing.
Yeah. Well, I try to go square to square, but the reality is you're never really square to square. It still curves a little bit on the backstroke.
Right.
My issue is my follow through after hitting the ball goes left, and your weight on the heel it sounds like a great way to fix that.
Right.
It's just a great idea, and again, adjustable drivers. Why not adjustable putters?
Correct.
Why don't we have adjustable irons for that matter? I mean,
they
probably
do
because of the expense, but I'm sure it's coming.
I think PXG, they've all got the weights, right? You could remove the screws, you could the weights, and we've got the similar system, right? We've got the center strike system that is essentially just a massive weight right behind the face. Right now, a lot of people, this when locked in again, it's conforming to the rules of golf because it's not above the face, the height of the face. But a lot of people will be like, well, it's just weights. Yes, it's just weights, and a lot of companies do that. They add, your toe and the heel weight, and you can change your, bias. But the way we do the weights is different, right? Because it's not integrated into the head of the putter. It's a separate piece that actually has a gap right here. So it's not necessarily, it's not actually making your face hotter. What other companies are doing is when you put your weights underneath here, you're actually integrating it into the face, and thereby you make your face hotter or not hot. But we're not trying to make your face hotter so that you hit softer for a long putt. We are actually trying to stabilize your swing and make your stroke, your distance dispersion less. So a 10-foot putt with a 1-foot back swing will always be 10 foot. And that kind of reduces your dispersion, because we essentially, depending on how strong and weak you are, the weight of your putter will essentially change your stroke's stability and your momentum and tempo. And so that's kind of what we're subscribing to. So we're not really trying to fight or go up against the hotter face or any of that technology. We're basically saying, look, we've got different weights that one of them is going to make sense for you. And it's usually for lower handicappers because they have very consistent strokes. And so they don't really need the face balance or the MOI adjustment, but they do need help with consistency and efficiency of their stroke and the power.
Now, when did this idea come to you? Did you wake up in the middle of the night and say, my God, I'm going to make a putter and this is what's going to be in it? Or did you work on it? I mean,
it actually came to me while I was working at a different job. I just finished projects and I had a down moment, and I knew I was going to acquire this CNC machine shop next year. So it was part of I was going to do it, and I knew I wanted to make golf products, and I was like, okay, well, I want to make something with a putter. What can I do? So I'm sitting there. It's one of those cliched ideas, drawing on a piece of napkin or papers here and there, and tons of different concepts. And that's when I came up with Superman on my putter. And that was the birth of the idea, and then it evolved over time. And once you actually start making prototypes, then you start understanding the complexities of manufacturing. You're trying to then put in cost. You're trying to idea to product is a whole journey that you have to take into consideration. And with my background in engineering and working in semiconductors, R&D, and manufacturing, I've kind of become very experienced with taking ideas from pen and paper to full-scale production and bringing them to the market.
Would you tell everybody what CNC stands for? Because the first time I heard it, I had no idea. So I figured there's some other people out there that have no idea.
Computer numerical. Wow, what's the last C? I'm blanking now.
I think it's control.
Controls. There you go. Computer numerical controls. There you go. Thank you.
You say on your website that as a kid you were watching your dad. He was working at his drafting table. Obviously, he's an engineer. What kind of job did he have, and where did you grow up?
Absolutely. So I grew up in India. We emigrated from India to America in 1999. So I've been here for a long time. He's an industrial designer. So his education was mechanical engineering, and he had his own business in India as well as a designer. So he would be designing consumer products like telephones, cell phones, washing machines, computer panels, et cetera, or electrical switchboards, stuff like that. But back in the day, in the late 80s, early 90s, of course, 3D printing wasn't available. So he had a guy sitting outside his office. Mind you, his office was inside our house. There were 2 rooms dedicated to his office, and then the rest of our house. But one of his rooms was a craftsman or a sculptor who sat outside and sculpted his CAD drawings into 3D models from Styrofoam. So he would sit there and carve, his ideas from a 2D sketch CAD drawings into actual 3D.
What a lost skill that is.
Right. And so it was awesome. So I would sit next to him and I would carve out my own toys, and I would take blocks of Styrofoam and just start cutting. Right. And so I grew up with the concept of, hey, how do you take an idea, draw it, come up with the 2-dimensional designs, get all of the dimensions correct, and iterate, and then go into, hey, bring this to life. Let's look at it, what an actual model would look like in 3D form. And so that's always stuck with me. I've always embodied, everything that my dad's taught me, everything that I've observed while sitting in his office for hours and hours during the day on summer vacations and stuff. And of course, life took me differently. We came to America. I went into electrical engineering. I did the whole semiconductors and R&D equipment and all of that stuff. But that part of me always kind of stayed, where I just love innovating. I love bringing products to life. I love taking it from a 2D sketch to a 3D model. And, when I got the chance to acquire the CNC machine shop, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I took my experience from my younger days with my dad's business. I took my experience from working at semiconductors. I took my experience from working in countries like America, of course, Korea and Singapore, where, semiconductors took me, but a global perspective. And I brought it all together to build Killer Golf.
I just love saying Killer Golf.
I do too.
Tell us the story again
awesome.
on how you came up with that. It's surprisingly simple.
Absolutely, yeah. So Killer actually is my wife's, family's last name. Her family's last name. Very funny story. Her grandfather emigrated from Fiji to Canada, and when he was emigrating, the immigration officer heard incorrectly. Their original last name is Killa, Killa. But maybe the accent, maybe a lot of sound. He heard Killer and wrote down Killer. And of course, back in the 70s or 60s, I don't remember exactly when, you're not going to argue with an immigration officer who's letting you inside your country or their country. So he took it, and now we have 4 generations of Killers. My wife kept our last name as her middle name, and now my kids also have Killer as their middle name. So
they all have killer names.
They have killer names. We've gone with the tradition of where a lot of golf companies are named after people and last names, and so we've done the same thing. But people don't realize that Killer is not just a word; it's actually a name for us.
Well, I can't believe. I know you're busy making putters, but I got to think some merchandise with that name and logo. With you can sell merchandise, and the thing about merchandise is, you don't have to make money on it, just break even. It's free advertising. It's a secret way to spread your name, and let other people do the advertising for you.
And
who would want a Killer golf ad or a Killer shirt? That's
absolutely. We've got some pretty killer hats. So we've got some shirts. We've got a golf bag that looks really nice. It's all in motion, and it's all going to get introduced pretty soon.
Well, tell us about your brief your playing career and how it got cut short. Where did you play, and how long did your aspirations last?
It's very brief. I started playing golf in college, just as recreational. There was a 9-hole. I went to college in Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, and there was a little 9-hole course over there. So we'd go on Friday, Saturdays, or Sundays. Back in 2004, 2005, 2006. And then after that, got into the job. I played golf here and there, but nothing, it wasn't like a passion or obsession. To be honest, I've always been a fan of Tiger Woods, and I consider 2010, 11, 12 his resurrection. And when he reached world number 1 during that phase, that's when I really got hooked. And that's when, instead of doing my job on Thursday, Fridays, I'd have the tournaments on, watching him win. And I think, that kind of really got me. And my fiance at the time, it was my wife, of course, but she was like, dude, you're going to get fired. And I said, I don't care. I just want to play golf. I want to watch golf. And she said, then quit. go follow your passion. We weren't married then, but we did have a house together. So she said, look, she had just graduated. She said, I have a job. I'll support you. Go follow your dreams. So I quit my Bay Area six-figure engineering job at that point in time in 2013. Tried to become pro at the age of 28. Went from a 27 handicap to a 7.6, I believe, within 9 months. But a lot of injuries. I went to a chiropractor. He corrected me, and it made it worse. And then I tried recovering, and then it happened again. And at that time, my wife, now we had gotten married, she said, dude, no matter how much you love golf, if you're not healthy enough to play it, there's no way you're going to get there. So that's kind of when I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll try to at least be part of PGA of America, go through the PGM program, the 2-year program. So I started doing my PATs, didn't make it again because of injuries. So then decided to kind of go back into engineering. That's when we moved to South Korea for a job at Samsung, experienced expat life, but continued my passion for golf, taught a lot of golf there, played a lot of golf there, gave a ton of seminars at Samsung to 200 to 300 people about how you can take the golf mentality and apply it to our engineering projects, and the determination, the tenacity, and what it takes to go from 27 to 7, how I plan on applying it to our engineering projects and lead my team there. So, kind of embodied golf since then, always been close to it, always followed golf and played as much as possible. And then when I had a chance to make it a reality, I made it a reality.
I don't know what the batting average is for how many chiropractors are really good at what they do, but I might annoy some people with this, but I'm saying it's 1 out of 5.
I believe that. I have not been to a chiropractor since then.
I had one finish off my torn meniscus because he forgot. I told him I had a problem with my left knee. But anyways, it's a killer idea. It's a killer club. Now it's just too easy. That word just fits in.
It does.
I'm going to guess that maybe your mallet model is a little more popular with amateurs, and probably are some of your pros playing it? Are they using the mallet or the other model? And
we have 3 men on the Champions Tour. David Frost on the Champions Tour, who's using the blade. We have the 2 players in Korea also using the blade. The women, the LPGA players, are using the mallet. So it's a mixture of both, I guess.
David Frost is a really good putter.
Yeah, he saw our putter back in March when one of his close friends, we caught his attention. Sorry, and he wanted to write an article for us, and Dr. Lotz, and then he essentially introduced the putter to Ernie Els and Retief Goosen at one of the senior tour tournaments at the Hoa, Newport Beach at Hoa Classic, and there it kind of spread, and David Frost got a hand of it, and he tested it out, instantly fell in love with it. Basically told me that it was a Tuesday. He said, hey, can you make these adjustments? I need 35-inch shaft, et cetera. So we came back to Boise, built him a new putter, flew it back out to hand deliver to him on Thursday, so that he could practice with one day, and then Friday he put it in play. So he's put it in play ever since. Ernie Els and Retief Goosen do have our putters. They kept them. They didn't want to return them, but of course they're under contracts with other companies, so they haven't been able to adopt them, but they have kept them. So we're hoping that at some point in time that surfaces.
Almost all those guys on that tour are looking for something, so they'll try anything.
Right.
And you might be surprised. They might be using it in the majors next year.
I hope so. We're counting on it. I'm gonna head over to the tournament at Pebble Beach in September to meet Mr. Frost again, and try to see if I can convince other players to just test my putter out.
What was the single most memorable golf shot you hit in your life?
Ooh.
Give me one shot. And
my
why was it
hole-in-one definitely comes to mind. My hole-in-one in Coyote Creek, California. It's 167-yard par 3. That definitely comes in mind. I've had some really at my home course here in Boise. There's one hole where it's a dogleg right and there are trees aligned to it. And for whatever reason, on a dogleg right, I like hitting draws. I don't like hitting a fade, but I like going right along the line of trees and then curving it in as soon as the dog leg is turning and then plopping right in the middle. And one of those drives, I hit it absolutely perfect. Just went about 2 inches along the line of trees and then curved and sat there about 290 yards out. And it was that's something that comes in mind as well.
Ben Hogan is shaking his head right now. That was not, Shamik, that was not the shot that was called for. Even though you pulled it off, there's stories about him at Shady Oaks that if you did that if you were in his foursome and you hit a draw on a shot where you're supposed to hit a fade like that, you weren't in the foursome the next day.
I know. Everybody looks at me funny because I set up for a draw on a dog leg right, and they're like, "Dude, what? Why would you do that?" I don't know why. I just like that. I like the opposite feeling. Like the course is going this way, my ball is going this way, and they meet kind of in the middle. And that's kind of I don't know.
It's exactly what you say about the feel with the putter. It's like if you feel a draw, then just hit it.
Yeah, and 8 out of 10 times I can pull off that shot.
That's pretty good.
I've practiced it many times, and that's just my go-to.
Hal Sutton used to say that about shots, that if you think you can hit it 8 out of 10 times, then go ahead. And if you don't think you can hit it 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10, then you're probably hitting the wrong shot.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it gets overrated. Like, well, there's bunkers on the right, so you got to come in from the left. Well, these guys are good players, are launching it so high. If you have the right distance, that bunker's not really in place. So what's the difference? We're not playing old-time golf where you're running the ball up, in 1898. You hit a 9-iron with a draw over the thing. It's not as big of a deal as it used to be, but I think guys on TV need something to talk about. So people can find you on killergolf.com.
Yes.
Are you in any stores anywhere yet?
No, not yet. So we're just getting started. Well, we're in small fitting studios. We've got a couple of studios in Dallas, a couple of studios in Boise, but we're knocking on doors to the retails, big box retails, and it's a fine balance between supply and demand. We're a small shop here, so we're not able to produce putters at a higher speed than might a retail box, but we're ramping up. So as we mature as a company, we'll be ready for big box retails. We're building out our packages right now to present to the club champions and of course Golf Galaxy and the PGA Superstores. But hopefully in a couple of months we'll be knocking on the big box retail stores. But we are going after not the mom and pop, but the smaller retail stores that have 1 or 2 locations or about up to 5 locations, privately owned.
Yeah, you need somebody knowledgeable there to help people get their putter fitted. And that may or may not be the case at any number of big box stores I've been in, and the guy didn't know what shaft flex was. It's like, really? You're working in a golf store? So keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
But it's a cool product. I'm looking forward to trying one out soon. I think one's already in the works.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
Killer Golf, it's a killer name. It's a killer product. And if you can't get a putter that fits you with Killer Golf putter, then it's you. It's not the putter.